the Sideline Guys Super Bowl Spectacular here at RecorderNews.com. Adam Schinder joined by Michael Kelly as always. Joining us for this special three-part Super Bowl 47 preview edition are our special guests. To my immediate right, Recorder editor Charlie Crable. To my far right, Recorder sports editor Paul Antonelli. Super Bowl 47, Sunday night, New Orleans, Louisiana, inside the Superdome. The Baltimore Ravens, the San Francisco 49ers, and we begin today talking about the AFC champions, the Baltimore Ravens, and we'll start with them on offense. And when you talk about the Ravens on offense so far this postseason, it starts and ends with their quarterback, Joe Flacco.
Well, Flacco has just been absolutely outstanding in this playoffs. I mean, he's thrown 8 touchdowns, no interception. His completion percentage might be considered a little down at about 54.8%, but he's averaging 9.2 yards per attempt, which means he's throwing the ball downfield. They're making big plays. He's not making a lot of mistakes. I think he's going to be very key if the Ravens want to hoist the Lombardi Trophy Sunday night.
And also what makes Flacco really effective is the fact that he's got 2 really good receivers in Torrey Smith, who's definitely a deep threat, probably the most dangerous receiver in the game on Sunday, as well as Anquan Bolden, who is one of the more talented underneath receivers that you will find in this league. He's a big physical player, and they make Flacco better.
You know, and Charlie kind of spoke to this about the no interceptions for Joe Flacco. He's on a 5-game streak right now where he has no interceptions. It's the first time in his career he's had that many games in a row. It's actually only the second time in his career he's ever gone more than 2 games in a row without an interception. That offense thrives on deep plays. Adam, what has he done these maybe past 3 or 4 games that he's been able to hit for those big plays, but he's not giving up that big interception?
It's weird. To me, it seems like Joe Flacco's kind of been living a charmed life ever since the very end of regulation again in the divisional playoff game against the Broncos. The whole Ravens team kind of from that point had no business. We're going to lose that game if not for a bomb he throws that gets completely misplayed by Raheem Moore of the Denver Broncos. He's way in front of the ball to Jacoby Jones. But Flacco, the pride of the University of Delaware, has been he's just been going over the top, and Torrey Smith and Jacoby Jones out of the slot, who's really become a big weapon for him, especially in the postseason, big weapon on kick returns as well. But what I like about the Ravens is that they use their wide receivers, especially Jones and Torrey Smith, to go downfield. Their intermediate routes are a lot of going to Ray Rice, to their fullback Vontae Leach, and to a very good tight end in Dennis Pitta. And I think that's what we want to lead into next is, I mean, Flacco's been great, but his supporting cast kind of not really spoken about it. And for a guy in Ray Rice who's as good as any running back in football, these guys kind of gotten caught up in the wash this week.
Well, I mean, it's been obvious if you look at the numbers in this postseason that the Ravens are relying heavily on their passing game, particularly, Paul mentioned it earlier with Anquan Bolden, but also tight end Dennis Pitta, who does not get mentioned a lot when they talk about the Baltimore Ravens. Bolden and Pitta so far this year in the playoffs have combined for 26 catches for 403 yards and 5 of the 8 touchdown passes that Flacco has thrown. They're reliable targets. When you talk about the running game, one of the things that's been very neat to watch for me has been the emergence of Bernard Pierce as the sort of like a change of pace back for Ray Rice. I mean, he, over the regular season, I mean, he had 532 yards, nothing really great, no touchdowns, about a 4.9 yard per carry average. In the playoffs so far, he's come in relief for Rice, has had 169 yards on 27 attempts. He's averaging 6.3 yards per carry. That adds another dimension to the Ravens running game that could actually help take a lot of pressure off the passing game.
And how interesting is it that the two running backs for the Baltimore Ravens from noted football powerhouses, Rutgers and Temple.
And also Ray Rice is from Nyack High School downstate. You know, the other thing that makes Ray Rice so effective is the fact that he's a very good pass receiver, and he's also an effective screen back. And you know, he's probably the most talented back in the game, and he just gives Flacco just another weapon.
I think, too, with Ray Rice, who, I mean, we talk about these other guys. We talk about Flacco having a great year, those weapons. Ray Rice is the guy that makes it possible because that is what other teams game plan for. I think him going against that front seven for San Francisco, probably the most physical front seven in the league, when you think of him, a very physical back, but also a very small back. It'll be interesting to see how he does against those big bodies. You almost think he might be able to get lost running through them.
Yeah, and what gets to me, the move to me that really spurred the Ravens offense was the firing of their offensive coordinator right at the end of the season. They fire Cam Cameron. Jim Caldwell gets the reins of the offense. And Ray Rice is getting the ball, it seems, a little bit more. It's not necessarily getting Ray Rice 25 carries, which I think against the San Francisco defense is honestly a terrible idea. I don't think you need to establish a run, but it's getting Ray Rice the ball in space. If you want to look back at a play, look back at the 4th and 29. He converted on that little short dump-off pass against San Francisco, or against San Diego during the regular season. But along with the offensive coordinator change, the Ravens made some offensive line shifts. I think that's helped as well. Mainly, they moved Michael Orr to right tackle. Bryant McKinney takes over at left tackle, and that'll help against a very, very good 49er pass rush.
Well, and I think both McKinney and, forgive me if I pronounce this wrong, Osimer or
Something
how they do it.
He's the anonymous left guard.
They've got a really monumental challenge coming up on Sunday because you've got both Alden and Justin Smith coming up that side. And they're going to be very key in giving Flacco the time that he needs to get that offense going. You've got two dynamic pass rushers coming in there. They're going to have his hands full. But if they can find a way to contain those two guys on the San Francisco defense and give Flacco a lot of time, he's going to have a great game in hurting what's a suspect 49ers secondary to begin with.
Right, that's going to be the interesting part of the game is the 49ers defensive line is probably one of the best in the league, as well as their linebackers. I mean, Smith is a linebacker, and I believe he had 19 and a half sacks this year, which led the NFC. And, Flacco is the problem with Flacco is if he goes down, the Ravens are at a big disadvantage with their backup quarterback, where, the 49ers have Alex Smith. I mean, the Ravens have, Tyrod Taylor, so it's a big drop-off if something does happen to, Flacco.
And when we talk about that matchup, too, of just that physicality coming at the 49ers from that Ravens offensive line, from that running game, we're talking about a team that is similar to the St. Louis Rams, which seems ridiculous to bring them up, but the St. Louis Rams played the 49ers tougher than any team this year, and they did it because they were very physical. They had a quarterback who could maybe hit for one or two big plays. That's the formula for tying and beating the 49ers, and that's something the Ravens, that's what they do anyway.
Now we move over to the other side of the ball. This Baltimore Ravens defense, not quite the Baltimore Ravens defense the last decade, mainly because some of their stars getting a little bit long in the tooth. This will be the last game in the career of middle linebacker Ray Lewis. But you look at this Ravens defense, give me one guy who's going to be a key player on this Baltimore defense Sunday.
I actually think Paul Kruger is going to wind up being a very key guy. Kaepernick is fast, but Kruger has led the team in the regular season with 9 sacks. He's got 2.5 this postseason. That Baltimore Ravens defense lives and dies by the takeaways. They've got 8 of them in this postseason. They're disruptive. They hit hard. 49ers had better be ready to bring it because this Ravens team proved against New England that they like to beat you up.
I think it's going to be Ed Smith. I think a guy like him can outthink a young quarterback like Kaepernick, and watch out for him because he could be a really key factor down the stretch.
So if the Ravens win this game, we're doing these predictions in a couple videos away, but if they win this game, I think Ed Reed is the MVP. He'll outthink Kaepernick in some key situations. He plays deeper than traditional safety, so he'll have a little bit more time to, maybe rope-a-dope him into a bad throw or two. That would be the guy that I'd be watching.
Yeah, I've been vacillating between 3 guys. Haloti Ngata, whose job is to disrupt the interior of a great San Francisco offensive line. Terrell Suggs on the opposite side of Paul Kruger has the job of containing the read option. But the guy I think is going to be is the other safety, Bernard Pollard, who is a huge hitter. He's going to play closer to the box, and he's going to have some very important reads to make. I think he's the guy that kind of keys Kaepernick in the run game to try and avoid him going outside, and he will put a hit on you. He said it this week that he thinks the game of football is too dangerous. He's going to have to be a dangerous player for the Baltimore Ravens this Sunday. That does it for the Baltimore side. Tomorrow, we move over to the NFC. We talked about John Harbaugh's Ravens. Tomorrow, it's Jim Harbaugh's 49ers. We'll see you then.